Here we are today, guys, in my own backyard, Hurstville. There's an auction today. The price, guys, $1.5 million. It's right over there. I'm gonna go do a house tour. I'm gonna break down the floor plan, the land, the finance, and the strategy and the tactics. And I'm gonna stick around to show you how an auction really works, the tips and tricks, because today, this is where the people either win big or lose big. And here's the fun part, guys. There's an auction happening today, right at the end of this.
So in today's property roast, here's what we're unpacking today. Firstly, guys, how to do your due diligence before you bid your first single dollar. Secondly, guys, how to read the floor plan and the aerial shots, and what are these two things really telling us. And thirdly, guys, the auction itself, the theater, the tactics, the how not to get played. And fourthly, guys, the money side, 80% lending versus 90% loans. We're going to look at repayments, stamp duty, and the stuff that most buyers ignore until it's too late. And fifthly in this video, the investor lens. We're going to look at rental yields, outgoings, and whether this block itself can actually pay by itself. Firstly, guys, due diligence and pre-auction preparations. So for the peeps that's watching this at the moment, for the first-time buyers or investors, this is where you make or break the deal. Before the auction even starts, due diligence is your armor right now. Without it, guys, you're basically bidding blind. Now I'm going to throw it up here. This is a place that I'm visiting today, doing a behind the scenes breakdown as if I'm going to buy this property with my client. You could potentially sell each duplex, if subdivided, $1.8 million each. That's a total of $3.6 million of final capital value. So at the moment, this place sits on a 1,088 square meter block, and it has a 20-meter frontage. Now that's huge compared to the average Sydney land, which according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics in 2023, it rocks up to be an average 373 square meters. So right now, folks, if you're buying a house, always consider what is the land size. The bigger the block, the longer the long-term value. Now looking at the frontage here, it's wide enough for a duplex potential. But never assume this. Always check with the council first in terms of zoning. And as you can see from this frontage over here, being right on King George's Road, it's really a double-edged sword. Like what I'm trying to say is, on one side it has convenience, but on the other side, the bank sometimes discounts busy road properties, and sometimes the resale can be quite tricky. Now as we look inside the house, so this is me walking up to the pre-open inspection, checking this place out. This place is currently rented to, I think, more than like 6 to 8 international students or something, because it's just filled up with these people. Now this is the rumpus, and as you can see, there's like 2 or 3 people sleeping there. Ceilings are pretty high. Walk through here, it's very dark. There's another student sleeping there. Like obviously they were doing an auction while these guys were sleeping. I guess it's rented out. And then this is the one of the hallways where there's a bit of a pantry on the left that leads into the bathroom, and pretty high ceiling as you can see, so a lot of potentials for upgrade. It's definitely an upper fixer home over here. And then this is the sunroom, really bright, very high ceilings, and I was surprised how even though this property is pretty old, it had really good potential. And then as you look outside the window, there was a lot of space on the side of the house for obviously a granny flat or even a studio. That's just me saying hi, guys. And then I walk through towards the end of the house where we see another bedroom. And then this is the kitchen, kind of small. That's the agent and, potential bidders. That's another bedroom. I've got a student there that's sleeping at the moment. Everyone is sleeping at the moment whilst there's an auction going on at the moment. That's the laundry room, and then that leads to another room. Well, this is the sunroom to the left. And also you can see huge backyard at the back. A lot of land because there's 1,000 square meters. Walking to the back at the moment, there's another room at the back, potentially a granny flat if you look to the left over here, but later I'll show you it's actually a storage room. Now this is the side of the house. Look at that, a lot of land, right? This is on a T-junction block, right? So basically it's not a square piece of land. You can see me right now, I'm walking to the end of the house, massive land as you can see, right? The house only took about maybe 300 or 400 square meters. As you can see, I'm walking to the very far edges of the block of land. you can see a ton of land. You can simply, subdivide this land and build another house if you want, right? By going through DA with the council. And then you see me walking up the side of the block. As you can see, more people, more bidders, mostly all Asian, by the way, because it's Hurstville. And then this is the storage room. Now, this potentially could become a granny flat, which I'll explain later in the video. And then by the way, this is bidder number 1, old mate. He's main character of this video later. We'll see him in the action later. As you can see, there is a bit of work on this property, but it's pretty solid, right? There's a bit of trees on the side, yeah, but I don't think the owner that bought the property did any work to it. I'm looking at it, I'm like, mate, this is an upper fixer potential. I mean, the price guide was $1.5 million. However, if it could be bought at, for example, 1.6 or even 1.7, mate, subdivision, bit of construction, compensating on the fact that it's on King George's Road, very noisy traffic, but it comes with a lower price. And as you can see at the moment, there's no staging. It looks pretty below average at the moment, but I really think this property is being sold for development or future knockdown and construction. Now, while you're going through this property, I want you guys to look for ceiling cracks. I want you guys to go to the corners of the house to check for dampness, and always ask yourself this question: does a floor plan make sense? So when you're walking through, always accompany yourself with the floor plan that the agent or on the website has given you, as I'm showing you up here at the moment. And always guys, before you go to your auction like today, always get a building and pest inspection done prior to going to auction. Like I'm telling you right now, guys, that report could save you tens of thousands of dollars down the line. Secondly, guys, reading the floor plan plus aerial location / block size. Okay, right now, once you've ticked off the basics, the next thing is the layout and the land shape. Now, first-time buyers often ignore this, but this is the difference between a rental magnet and a money pit. Now, I'm going to throw up on screen at the moment. Here's the floor plan. There's 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1 garage. And the sunroom is almost 10 meters long. But then it fronts King George's Road, so even though there is great light, there's also a lot of traffic, if you can notice from the background sound. And then if you look at the rumpus room, that's valuable. It's got dual living potential, for example, student rental. And if you look at the rear bedroom, that's also a quiet winner as well. So right now, let's look at the aerial location shot. From here, you'll see the Sydney CBD in the distance. And from Hurstville to the city, it's like a 20-minute train ride. And also this location is only 2 or 3 minutes from Hurstville Westfield. Now, if you're a landlord, I would probably say to you, tenants would love this type of convenience. But as we go to the aerial shot of this property, you can see that this property has a T-shaped backyard. As you can see over here, it's a sort of like a T shape. And that's where I think there is an upside to this. For example, you can throw in a granny flat. You can probably get about $500 to $600 a week. And if you notice on the outside, there's like a storage room with a spare toilet. This can be converted to like a granny flat without building a granny flat. And in terms of the land size, it's got duplex potential. Like you can split the land and have one side 540 square meters and the other side 540 square meters. And they both can be sold potentially if you built it right and you had the money for the construction for $1.8 million each. Or if you don't have the money at the moment, you can do a thing called land banking, which is basically waiting for the council to do the rezoning. So when this block gets like a R2 or R3 rezoning where it allows you to build high rises, you can sell it to the developer and make a big return. Now, according to CoreLogic, they say that, quote, properties with redevelopment potential can sell for 20 to 30% premiums, end quote. So even if you're not developing today, someone else down the line might, and they may pay you for it. You never know. Thirdly, guys, let's look at auction strategy and on-site tactics with live auction commentary, because I was there. So now, all right, guys, if you now arrived at this part of the video, let's just say you already done your homework. Tick. But I'm telling you right now, the auctions are where most first-time buyers and investors crash and burn. For example, I'm telling you right now, auctions are designed to be emotional, they're fast, and they're designed to make you overpay. So right now, let me break down the live auction I just filmed here and see what we can actually learn from this. So over here, guys, let's look how the auction played out. So at the moment, right off the bat, the auctioneer came out with the usual theater. A big smile, big voice, pumping up the zoning and the land size, right? And as you can see here from old mate over here on the left, someone tried to sneakily start at $1 million. Now that's a bloody rookie mistake. As you can see from the auctioneer, it was immediately brushed off. And as we fast forward the action, the real action only started at $1.5 million. And then from there, guys, bidding moved in 25,000 and 10,000 chunks. And then later down the last leg of the auction, you could see it shrank to 2,500 dribbles to even 1,000 to 2,000 counters. But eventually, guys, the hammer finally fell at $1,778,000,000. So right now, guys, from this auction alone, here are 5 key tips for you viewers out there so you can learn from this. Number 1, guys, start strong, don't lowball. Because like all my over here, when you're opening at $1 million on a $1.5 million price guide, it kind of looks stupid, and immediately off the bat, it's not funny, and most likely you already lost credibility in front of the other bidders. So guys, if you're serious, always start near the price guide where you start strong and you anchor the auction and look confident. Number 2, guys, control the rhythm. If you look at the couple, the Asian dude over here, right? The bidder who opened at $1.5 million, he already set the tempo, and all other bidders around him, which were the other 2, ever had to follow him and react. And overall, as you can see from this example, quick, confident bids project deep pockets, while slow, hesitant bids do the opposite. Number 3, guys, break the pattern. So I can see from this auction alone, most bids were neat 5,000 to 10,000 jumps, or in this case, sometimes 1,000 to 2,000 jumps. It's very predictable. Like what they could have done is, like, for example, throw like a 37,500 jump or something like a $50,000 knockout bid. Like what this does is it can shock the room and scare off the potential rivals. And tip number 4, guys, always avoid the death by 2,500. Like as you can see from the video over here towards the end, the bidders were sort of like nibbling, right? Like I call them nibbling bids. Like one guy will be like, oh, I've gone by 1,000. The other one will be like, oh, another 1,000 and another 1,000. Like that screams desperation. Like I just rather bow out clean and not bid at all, or make that one last bold jump rather than looking like they just tapped out. And tip number 5, guys, is know your ceiling price. As you can see from this video over here, the winner won at $1,778,000. I think to him, he still had a lot of gas in his tank, but what he did was he didn't chase past his budget. And for you guys over here, if you have a budget, don't chase past it. Like in my own humble opinion, I think missing out is cheaper than going broke. So now, right now, to apply this into this actual auction over here, let me give you tips on the underbidder, the person who didn't win, or my Asian man over here. Like this is what he could have done to win at this auction. Like in this part of the video, we witnessed that the last challenger, like the old mate over here, old mate Asian uncle over here, right? He pushed into the high $1.7 million. But at the end of the day, he lost. But remember, he started at 1.5 and he actually didn't want to go up anymore. And as you can see in between, he kind of hesitated. The agent kind of convinced him. He was doing these random bids with these random numbers. This is what he could have done differently to flip the script. Number 1, guys, he should have thrown a knockout bid earlier, right? So instead of inching up by $5,000, he should have blasted straight into $1.7 million with confidence. Even at not $1.7 million, if they were bidding between 1.5 and he knew that, he wanted to go to 1.7, which he did, he should have went 1.5. The other guy went by another $10,000, and then as you saw in this example, in this live example over here, they just counted each other by 10,000, 5,000 increments. If he went strong and went from 1.5 to 1.550, and then the other person would have responded by 5 or 10,000 increments, and then he pulled it to 1.6, a move like that will rattle the other guy off. And the number 2 tip that he should have done better was that he should have responded faster. If the other person bid, he should have responded faster and know his bid. As you can see from this video, he's part of a group. Like he has his wife next to him, and then he has his daughter, and then his son-in-law, the white guy over there, right? Like kudos to him. White boy and Asian girl marriage, who cares? Love that kind of combination, right? But then he paused, he checked with his partner, then bid small. Like that hesitation screamed weakness. He should have had all his numbers in his head and just snapped back like that with full control. When you turn to your partner and have a chat, it means you're at the ropes. You're telling people you're at the bloody ropes. Number 3 tip is he should have controlled the rhythm. Don't let the auctioneer control the rhythm, because the auctioneer was trying to control the rhythm. He shouldn't have stuck to the 5,000 to 10,000 or 1,000 increments, right? He should have thrown like a 17,000 bid or a 37,500 bid. It would break the auctioneer's rhythm and would totally throw the room off balance. And my last tip is he should have finished with authority. As you can see from the last leg of this auction video, the last bids were very tiny gasps. Like instead of one bold bid to $1.8 million, he just incrementally increased by $1,000, which the other young dude saw in his face and his actions and sealed the deal at 1,778, which then he bowed out. So what I'm trying to say in this video is auctions just aren't about money. It's literally like a poker game. The underbidder had the funds. Like as you can see from this video over here, the underbidder had the funds, but not the tactics. And at the end of the day, guys, confidence, rhythm, and boldness often beat hesitation. So if you follow those tips above and you can make yourself look like you've got endless money, sometimes you win before your bank balance even matters. And now fourthly, guys, in this video, let's look at the finance breakdown and the numbers crunch. And let's apply this with the real auction results. Alright, so right now the hammer didn't fall at $1.5 million. It sold for $1.778 million. And that's the reality, guys. The guide's the bait and the hammer's the truth. So right now, let's break down what it actually costs to own this place and not just win the bid. So at an 80% LVR, guys, as you look at this diagram over here, as an owner-occupier, the contract price will be $1,778,000. Now at an 80% LVR, the loan amount is $1,422,400. Now you need a deposit of 20% to stay away from mortgage insurance. That equals $355,600. Either you're getting a cash out from another property to buy this property, or you're using your own cash, or maybe in old mate couple over here is a bank of mum and dad. Now, in terms of stamp duty, it's around $76,500. And then we need to include legal costs and inspections, roughly budget around $5,000 in total. So that brings us to a total upfront cash needed of $437,000. Approximately. Now, as an owner-occupier, you are only allowed to get principal interest repayments. So at a 5.45 interest rate, the repayment is $8,100 per month approximately. That equals to be a roughly $97,000 a year in terms of repayments. Now, on the other side, if you're an investor and you want to use a 90% LVR, the loan amount would be $1,600,200. And because you're an investor and you want to use lease deposit to buy this property for investment purposes, because you want to highly negative gear the loan, the 10% deposit is $177,800. Stamp duty, the same thing, $76,500. Now, because you're borrowing over 80%, at 90%, there's lender's mortgage insurance. Now, that's roughly 2% of the loan amount, but it varies by lender. But for this example, let's just say 2% approximately. And that works out to be $32,000 to $35,000. And this is usually added on the loan. And again, guys, there's other miscellaneous costs, including legals and building inspections. That's around $5,000. So the total upfront cash needed is $260,000. So if you add all these figures up together, excluding the mortgage insurance, because we're also borrowing that, the total upfront cost is around $260,000. Now, if you're an investor, this is not like a preference or financial advice. If you chose interest only at 5.89%, the repayment will be $7,900 per month. That equals to $95,000 a year interest only. Now, right now, let's look at the investor's view. Let's look at the rental reality check. The gross rent range is from $1,090 to $1,355 per week. That's roughly around $50,000 to $69,000 of rental income per year. Now, comparing to repayments at 80% LVR, that's a $28,000 to $40,000 cash flow deficit per year. And at a 90% LVR, that's a $45,000 to a $50,000 deficit per year. And this, guys, is before council rates, insurance, land tax, and property management fees. And on top of that, maybe potential repairs. So right now, guys, at the actual hammer price of $1,778,000, you're not just buying a house. What you're really signing up for is a $437,000 cash upfront at 80%, or a $260,000 cash upfront at 90% LVR with a sting of LMI and way higher repayments. And here's the kicker, guys. The rent doesn't cover the mortgage. You're bleeding tens and thousands of dollars every year in negative cash flow. Now, for me and most of my savvy investors, that is fine if you've got a long-term strategy. So if you guys thought the $1.5 million guy was reality, man, you guys are just simply noobs because you're already underwater before you even collect the keys. To really buy this type of property, you really have to have a strategy in place. You got to have a financial advisor, most probably an accountant to calculate the tax deductions before you jump in as an investor, and also a holistic lending game plan to make sure most of your borrowing power is not tied up to just this property alone. So this is where I go to the fifth part of this video. Investor lens, we're going to look at the rents, the costs, and is this a good buy and who is this buy for? So alright guys, you've seen the hammer price and you've seen the mortgage numbers. But the question every first time investor asks me is that Q, is this actually a good buy? So right now, let's break it down like an investor, not just a home buyer. So right now, let's look at the cash flow today. The rent could be potentially $1,090 to $1,335 per week. That's literally $50,000 to $69,000 of income coming in per year. But again, guys, that's not accounting agent fees, maintenance costs, land tax, and other miscellaneous fees. Now, if you kept it on 80% LVR with a P&I repayment, it's around $97,000 a year in terms of repayments. And the shortfall over here is around $28,000 to $40,000 a year. And the short answer is, as a straight rental, it's a negative cash flow property. And if you're not like most of my clients and myself who are running businesses, which means you don't really have strong income to hold on to this and manage the holding costs, you can't really see the capital growth potential, which right now I'll naturally segue to the capital growth potential. As you can see, if you're buying this property, you'll only want to buy this property with a developer mindset. The block size is 1,088 square meter and it has a 29 meter frontage. That's very rare in Hurstville, guys. And right now, let's look at the demand drivers. Number one, it's within 450 meters of the station and it's got rezoning potential flagged. If you have the capital funds or if you have the borrowing capacity, what you could do is bulldoze this place, knock down and rebuild. You could potentially build 2 duplexes, like a 5-bedder duplex. That will probably cost you between $1.6 to $1.8 million construction costs. Now, given the proximity of this property, which is the land size, to the city, to this train station in terms of convenience and Westfield shopping center, you could potentially sell each duplex, if subdivided, $1.8 million each. That's a total of $3.6 million of final capital value. And right now, guys, think about it. You bought it for $1.778. And depending on your feasibility study, you can potentially do a knockdown rebuild for a duplex or simply just land bank it. Keep it as it is and just rent it out. Like at the moment, it's currently tenanted. Or you can see from the aerial view, the land is sort of like a T shape. And it sort of has a potential of a granny flat with that extra spare room at the back. But then on the side, as you can see from the aerial shot, there's plenty of space to clear away for another granny flat or a studio. That's an extra rent of $500 to $600 per week. Imagine 2 of them are running at the same time, plus the main house. That can more than cover the repayments for this property if you do buy it as it is, without touching the main house. So this is the key takeaway for you guys watching at the moment. This buy over here isn't a buy for mum and dad investors chasing their rent. This over here is a land bank play. You either duplex it, granny flat it, or sit on it until the zoning changes. So if you're trying to treat it like a normal rental, don't buy it, guys. You're gonna drain yourself dry. But if you play with long game and you have a bit of capital under your wallet, it could be a generational wealth block. So right now, guys who are watching this, thank you for watching thus far. This is my closing perspective. Don't get hypnotized by the auctioneer's chant. I want you guys to do your numbers, run your due diligence, run through your bidding strategy the night before, and most importantly, guys, do your due diligence, especially the finance due diligence. Make sure you have enough borrowing to borrow in case the property goes above the price guide. So right now, if you guys watch this and you're like totally confused, I suggest you either book a 15-minute strategy call or a 16-minute deep dive with me for me to go through a holistic game plan solution with you in terms of the lending, the structuring, and any tips and tricks you want to ask me in terms of my 15 years of experience.
If you like this video, hit the like button, hit the follow button, and most importantly, smash the share button because knowledge is power. I'll see you in the next few days in that property roast.